The great Eddie Steele joins us here at Rogers Place. I appreciate you getting in, Eddie.
It's awesome to be with you. I appreciate the opportunity, man. Always good to come and chat.
Course. You know this barn? You know your way around, or what?
A little bit. I've been in here for a few games, but I know the barn up the street a little bit better.
Yes.
Commonwealth.
Well, we're going to jump right into it. Riders, Elks.
That's why I'm here.
Why not, right?
That's why I'm here.
Oh, we got a lot to get to with our man Eddie Steele. Was it 9 seasons in the CFL, by the way?
Yes, sir.
9. Grey Cup champion. Hamilton, Sask, Edmonton. This is a big game. They're calling it must win for the Riders.
I would say it's must win for both, in all honesty, especially you look at the standings and how the second half of the season lines up, especially for the Riders. It's a dangerous second half. And the Elks, they're in desperation mode too, because if they come out and they beat the Riders, well, they're a game back out of a potential playoff spot. And the Riders, they're staring down the pipe at, 3 against Winnipeg, 2 against Calgary, 2 against BC. So it's going to be a tough slugging.
Yeah, so what is your read on this Edmonton team? Because you're here, you obviously watch every game. They've been destroyed by BC twice. Were they as bad as the score indicated in both cases?
I mean, the score is the score for a reason. You can look for any type of loophole you want, but whenever a team can put up those types of points and move the ball somewhat effortlessly, it is what it is. I think it's a flat-out butt-whooping, and they've done it 2 times now in a row. So it's not just a coincidence that it happened once. They've done it. They've watched the tape, and they came out and did it again.
Are you seeing? And we've talked about this before, not in person, but I've had you on the show this season. Are you seeing a method to Jones' madness or not?
Yeah, I mean, you are absolutely seeing it, because if you look, history is proving itself all over again. You were there in Saskatchewan for his first year, and how similar does it look to what he's doing right now? They'll probably come out of the season with, somewhat similar wins, 5, 6, maybe 7 wins. Who knows about the playoff crossover because of the East, but it's the same thing, rotating, shuffling guys, because he's trying to find those puzzles and fit those pieces in. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. Saskatchewan wasn't good his first year there. They were a bottom feeder team. But the next year and the year after, and now look what they're still producing with a lot of key guys that he had brought in from those tough years. So it's working.
It's a proud CFL city. I've said that forever. And although I've had my battles with Calgary, we never, ever, ever, ever fought with Edmonton as a city or as a team. It's not that Calgary isn't class, but there's something about Edmonton. It's like they're above that petty stuff. But they don't like losing. Right? You know where I'm going?
Yeah, I do.
And there's obviously a reason why you settled in Edmonton. It's a great place. But when you preach patience to people, how do they respond to that?
Well, it's tough because people are paying money, right? And when it's someone's money and their dollar out of their own pocket, they want to see you produce. But the reality is, rebuilds happen, and rarely does it happen here in Edmonton. The thing is, in Edmonton, been spoiled, very spoiled. You look back to the glory years. Now, with hockey, they have the best player in the world, 2 of the best players in the world, spoiled with talent, spoiled with championships. So they're not used to having those uncomfortable years. Right now, it's an uncomfortable year. We went through it in 2013 with Cavis Reed. It was an ugly year that year. Chris Jones came in 14, turned us around 15, won the cup. And, you just got to last through those lean years and stay true to it.
Arlen Bruce watching out in Vancouver, AB3. He says, Mr. Eddie Steele, you have come a long way since I played with you in Hamilton. You are definitely Sportsnet or TSN ready, bro. You are Sportsnet talent now, right? That's still a thing?
Yeah, it's still a thing. Hopefully the opportunity's there again coming for this upcoming Grey Cup. But it was a lot of fun. And Arash Madani, he's a pro's pro.
What does he mean by you've come a long way? And I asked that because you and I got acquainted in 2017, your first season in Sask, and you've always been this guy, this smiling, classy, hardworking guy. Were you not always that?
You're young and dumb when you get into the league. Yeah, we're all been there, right? I was 21 years old, drafted out of college, had a really successful career in college, and I got drafted to Hamilton. My last name, for those who don't know it, Eddie Steele.
Perfect fit.
I thought I was going to take over the city. Steele coming to Steele Town. Not the case, however, but you realize quickly how to mature and how to grow up and how to survive 9 years. There's a reason the pro career average is only 3.5 years. A lot of guys, they don't do the right thing. They don't approach the game the right way. I feel like I did that, but I've matured along the way, made my mistakes. But here I am, like to consider myself somewhat successful.
I got the best of you. There's no doubt. And before we switch gears to the Sask thing, I got to ask you on the air. You got let go. He's got his Eskimos Grey Cup ring on, and you got let go by 630 Chad, their rights holder, for criticizing the coach and the GM. More so the GM, right? Brock Sunderland?
Yeah, the GM.
And then by, 5, 6, 7 weeks later, you were proven right because they were all fired. But I didn't see you get rehired by Ched.
Yeah,
sitting with you?
Honestly, I'm at peace with the whole situation. It ended up working out really well for me, and no negative feelings towards the guys I was working with Chad Morley and all those guys. Still have a good relationship with them all. But the reality is, I said what I said. I felt very convicted in my heart about the truth, and lo and behold, it was the truth, and they go and they fired everybody. So to be honest, when they fired everybody, not look like that's what I wanted out of the situation. I just wanted attention brought to where there was some mishaps and all of it. And when they fired everybody, it was very vindicating because it was just proving everything that I said was right. So it was all good with Chad. I have a tough time seeing a big corporation doubling back, and I'm a small fish in a big pond, so I don't think that would ever happen, and it wasn't something that I ever expected to happen, but I'm at peace because it worked out.
And you can sleep at night knowing you were right.
You said it, not me.
Yeah, but then, so when the Sportsnet thing happened, I recall, because it was just last year, right? And you're going to Grey Cup to cover that, and so you did kind of fall forward, if that was a thing, right? So how much are you enjoying that?
Yeah, it was awesome. And to be honest, in terms of the media, because I'm doing a little bit of stuff with the Riders now for their pregame, it's never something I've actively sought out. And that's what I think a lot of people, especially I get some flack on Twitter, they think that I'm some sort of media personality. I'm not. Like, people have asked me to come and do things. And if you're going to ask me to come and speak and say my word, I'll do it. But it's not
be
like
careful what you ask.
Be careful, and you'll get the truth of the matter, especially when it comes to CFL, because I've been there, done that. I think I have a little bit of knowledge with it. So yeah, that's kind of how it goes. It's not something that I'm actively seeking, but hey, I love it and I enjoy it.
So to the Riders, I didn't realize that you were doing the work with them. I haven't been following what's going on there, but what I am following is a 3-game losing streak, and I did see Milt Steele say on TSN this week that the Riders are the most disappointing team so far in this season. There were a lot of people going into the year, football people, agents and so forth, that didn't expect much for them to begin with. So at 4-4 and in 4th place, it's not surprising a lot of people. It's surprising a lot of their fans, though. What's your read on Sask?
It's they are where their record says they should be, in all honesty. Don't want to be that guy who's having to double back a few weeks ago, but they haven't won since the dark cloud of the Marino incident. And they've gone through a lot of adversity in terms of Cody, his injury, the offensive line, Dan Clark, which I heard, is he practicing? I heard he's practicing again, which is nuts coming off the injury he had. Lots of adversity, but they are right where they should be. I think there's been some discipline issues, and they have a tough end of the schedule, like I said, and they got to pull out dubs when they can, especially against a team who's perceived weaker with the Elks. So this is a huge matchup this week.
Who do you think's going to win?
I'm going to go with Chris Jones and the Elks, to be honest. Yeah, I think they're he knows how to watch tape, and especially with quarterbacks, he knows how to really isolate on guys. I've been in those meetings with him, and he's going to have a plan for Cody, especially since Cody is somewhat limited with his running ability. So I'm going to go with the Elks, and I think they're going to come out aggressive, and they need this win at home. They haven't won at home in 3 years.
Oh, Riders favored by 6, but I'm kind of feeling what you're saying. There's the pressure on the Riders, but that home losing streak here for the Elks is 11 games. They haven't won at home since they changed their team name. What's the locker room mindset of the Elks wanting to end this? They're going to be fuming.
Oh, you got to be. But the funny thing is, with the amount of roster turnover, there's so many guys who probably are so aloof to the fact that they haven't won in 3 years.
Weren't even around, yeah.
Exactly. It's brought up and it's spoken about, but it's not like they're there and they've been in those trenches. But, man, they need to win just for the fans. Forget the locker room. the fans and the people of Edmonton are starving for a home win. I know it firsthand.
Rich Robertson, watching on YouTube, says Brock Sunderland ruined the franchise. It will take years to rebuild. This is 100% in Oilers town now. Well, there you go. That's how they feel. I'm hearing a lot of that. Now, I saw you openly call out the owner of the Alouettes, Gary Stern, the other day for firing Kahari Jones. I didn't see that you got a response.
No, didn't get a response, and it wasn't even so much a call out. I just wanted to, because he responds to everybody, most people that I see, and I just, wanted the truth of what's going on. Like, and it's not like he owes me the truth or anything, but, he's pretty liberal out there, so I figured I would ask the question because, it was alluded to in the press conference, and we all know the discipline issues. It's been a dead horse that's been beaten over, but that was the big reason. And I want to know what the reason for the coaching change was. Now, look, they just beat Winnipeg last night, so hey, maybe there's the reason. Maybe they're a better team for it.
Maybe that's more than we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know what the reason is. Danny Matocha wanted the job, but I'll tell you what, the Kahari's another guy who. He's not a guy that called me, but I have a lot of people calling me saying, Rod, I got fired. I didn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, well, I know the feeling. You know the feeling. I don't know what to tell you. And Kahari will land on his feet other than to say that everything happens for a reason. By the way, we have questions now coming in for Eddie, which doesn't surprise me. Arlen Bruce with one. He says, elephant in the room. Why isn't Deron Carter playing wide receiver or slot back? That's crazy. His dad must be going nuts.
From being a teammate of his, we all know freak athlete, right? He's a freak athlete. He can do it all. And probably what did him in at the receiver position was infamous game back in, 2017 was it? With an infamous call by someone here who told someone to shut up. And I think what did Deron in was he had an impact in his limited time at DB. So I think that made a lot of people, Chris Jones, believe that he is a good defensive back, which he can be a good defensive back just solely off his athleticism. So, what did him in, I think, at the receiver position is he did so good at DB and he made so many splash plays.
Victim
and that's it.
of his own success,
exactly.
Really, in a way. But Chris Jones wouldn't have him there if he didn't think he was better there than at receiver. That's why. But when they played BC the other night, I was going back and forth between the Blue Jays game and the Lions and Elks. And every time I went back to the CFL game, Deron was getting run ragged and he couldn't cover his guy. Like, it just looked like they were picking on him.
Yeah, it was noticeable. Like, you could definitely see it. There was some issues out there. So, see if they get that ironed out or what's going to be the case. Who knows?
Well, he'll be at safety tomorrow. The viewers are writing in saying, Eddie, you look fresh, you look GQ. You said River Cree has been very, very good to you. Yeah, tell our viewers what you're doing now post-career. Post-football.
Yeah, post-football career, my new life. I'm in sales for a chemical maintenance company. So do a lot of traveling, put a lot of kilometers on. I tell people my office is 4 tires and a steering wheel. I just got a new car 2 months ago to the day, Rod. And
nice.
I was getting some work done to it this morning, just a little routine service because normally you get this service check in 6 months down the road. But I put on 9,000 kilometers already in the first 2 months. So yeah, I'm pounding the pavement, but it's been great, building a lot of good relationships. I do a lot of work with arenas, rec centers, public works, counties, municipalities, hospitals. So a lot of traveling, but a lot of relationships, and life's been great.
It seems to be working for you. And I don't want to say other than you said the stressful life of football. You don't realize it until you aren't in it.
Yeah, you don't. The eggshells that the constant pressure, the pressure if you have a bad game or if you have a couple missteps and you're not doing the right thing in practice, the fact that you could come into your locker room the next day and see someone new, or you could see 3 new faces there to try and replace you. So yeah, it's a nice feeling and it's a nice peace of mind to be in a state where you're not constantly having to worry about your job security, what's going to happen in the off season, how many game checks am I going to save, because you're trying to calculate when the checks stop coming in the off season because the money doesn't keep coming. People don't realize that once the games are done, no more pay. So you got to budget, and a lot of guys don't budget properly. So it's nice. I'm in a very nice place in life, and a lot of peace, and family's healthy, young kids are healthy and progressing. So, yeah, I'm very fortunate.
That's all you can ask.
Yeah.
Where is it? In Red Deer. I'm sorry. Oh, BW in Edmonton says Brock didn't ruin the Edmonton Elks. It started with Danny Machocha years ago. But they did sandwich that Grey Cup championship in the middle of it, right?
Yeah, we won a Grey Cup. I mean, you can't say anybody. How can you say someone ruined a franchise a decade plus ago? I know they got rid of Ricky Ray, and I can appreciate that. And he went on to Toronto and did great things. I totally can appreciate that. But ruining a franchise would mean they're still in disarray and turmoil. But we won a Grey Cup, and we had a couple of really successful years. Mike Riley had some tremendous years as a quarterback here and a lot of winning, even after I moved on to the Riders. So you can't say they ruined the franchise. Brock Sunderland, he sunk the ship nearly. I wouldn't say it was completely flooded, but it wasn't good. But they're doing the right things and they have the right people. You just got to be patient and it's going to happen. And, a lot of people are questioning Chris Jones, and I'm not up here being his advocate or anything, but the guy, he's proven. And you just got to trust in what he's done. I've been there. I've done it with him. I've won, and he's proven. And this mold that he's doing is exactly like what he's done in Edmonton and Saskatchewan, and he's won there.
Well, and speaking of, my cousin Christine in Medicine Hat writes in and says, Rogers Place looks awesome on the outside. It absolutely does, and it looks awesome on the inside. So I just thought I'd pass that along. Jack Fulton in Alberta, Vulcan, Alberta, says, Eddie nailed it. That's why I started Life Choice Dynamics 15 years ago. He helps players post-career with the money saving and planning it. William Degenstein on YouTube says, Chris Jones is the worst coach. There's a lot of people that you're never going to convince otherwise, and I respect that.
Yeah,
I was speaking at a banquet in Paradise Hill, Saskatchewan. I can't remember when, 5 years ago or something, with Daryl Sutter, Brian Sutter, Buddy Bensmiller, Rachel Homan. And I sat at a table. You know how they bid to have you sit with them?
Yep.
And this lady, she was older, man. She's 75. And I brought up Chris Jones. And she's like, I hate Chris Jones. He got rid of my West End wrestler, and I'll never forgive him for that. And I'm like, you should get over it, but I'm not going to tell you to get over it.
Yeah.
People sometimes they don't forget that stuff.
Yeah, and I get the, allure, again, with fans, because you're paying your money. You're paying money to see them play and perform, and you're paying money for the jersey and the merchandise. But it's a business, just like anything else. And I don't care who we are and what walk of life, we all have a shelf life. And depending on what industry you're in, we have a shelf life, and it might come sooner than others. And that's the reality with football, and it is a business. It's the biggest meat market you could imagine. And people don't see the behind-the-scenes things, but you're just a number. And the minute you sign that contract, they're looking to replace you. They're looking to go younger and cheaper. So that's just the reality of football, and it's not going to stop.
No,
it's not going to stop.
Lastly, before I let you go, you mentioned Mike Riley. I saw a comment the other day. Somebody said the caliber of quarterback play isn't where it was. And I remember that Young Guns, wasn't that long ago we were talking about the Young Guns, and they were Zach Caleros and Bo Levi and Mike Riley. Now are we seeing, what do you feel about the quarterback play? I would have put Cody Fajardo into that echelon, but he hasn't won yet. All those guys got Grey Cups. Mm-hmm. Cody does not. You were one of the very first guys to say this guy isn't all that.
Yeah.
You still feel that way?
You know what? I do still feel... Yeah, for the most part. I mean, just because it's kind of playing out how I anticipated. Now, look, Cody's hurt, and we know that. But the only thing with it is, like other people have said, and I've said this from the jump, he had a great year a few years ago. He was came out of nowhere, right? He had been a third stringer. Game tape, and people who were able to study him kind of regressed a bit last year. And now this year, I would say he's playing at the same level or less than he was at last year. He's hurt, though. The team banged up injuries on the O-line, but everybody's dealing with that. So you can't make specific excuses. It's tough. He's going to slug it out, and I understand why people in Saskatchewan love him. I get the heart. I get the leadership that he brings in terms of his communication with guys on the sideline and stuff, but kind of in a state right now, it's just I got to see it to believe it. You know what I mean? And that's where we're at. I just got to see it, and I only can go off what I've seen.
Wonderful point. Darian Durant got everybody off his back once he won, and Fajardo will do the same thing, but he's got to win. So, Eddie, always good, man.
Awesome.
Appreciate you coming down.
Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of the Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.